Broadcasting live from sunny South Florida, this is KMA Talk Radio. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of fine cigars. Your KMA crew, the Italian Scallion, Paul DeGracco, Alex Tavella, a.k.a. The Goat, and always telling it like it is, Honest Abe.
I like to smoke them like the Winston Churchill, like John Kennedy, yeah. Remember Coach Red Auerbach, smoked up for victory, yeah. Well, you can take my wife, you can take my car, but you can't take my big cigar. My cigar, yeah.
Good morning to all our loyal listeners, libertarians, and lovers of the leaf. I'm your host, Honest Abe DeBabna. of this morning's KMA episode number 426, broadcasting from South Florida, along with my trusty gang, the Italian scallion himself, Paul DeGracco, fresh in from Legoland, and the man himself, a.k.a. the GOAT, Alex Tavella. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Morning.
Got an interesting background going on there, Paul.
I am in my brother-in-law's house. It is a lovely room of death. There's lots of animals here. This is the basement where my children sleep and wake up terrified.
The dungeon.
Yeah, it's the man cave.
Yeah.
Are those all self-hunted?
Yeah. Everything. You know what? My brother-in-law and father-in-law are big hunters, but they're those guys that absolutely use every single piece of the animal. Like they find uses for bones and everything. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Even the head, clearly.
Well, they take the stuff out of it. They make dog food out of the meat that isn't consumable to humans as well. And they keep the what do you call it? The pelt, the fur, and they mount some of them.
And while they were out hunting, you went to Legoland.
No, he went with us to Legoland. There's a new Legoland here in New York that we were planning a trip to for all the kids to go to.
Have you ever gone with them hunting?
You're a funny guy.
Just curious, maybe,
I have not. I'm not against it. I mean, listen, I eat the meat. I love venison and I love wild turkey. We had wild turkey burgers for dinner the other night, and I love all of the meat. And I trust hunting either. I trust the food that they prepare way more than I trust what comes from the supermarket. In all honesty, I mean, they're meticulous about how they treat the meat and take care of it. So,
you ever been hunting, Gabe?
Gotta. He had to have.
No, never shot at a live thing.
Wow, that surprises me.
And honestly, I had zero interest.
Yeah, me too.
Though I will share with you a funny story.
Please do.
Early on in my career, trying to figure out how to get out there and become known. I was looking at a lot of my mentors, and one of them was like Lou Rothman, who had a phenomenal story of, obviously climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, and God rest his soul. My partner Harry Hersey Jr. was a big huntsman. He had an office. Who my wife used to work for him before we even started dating. He had a big office. I'd say it was roughly 4,000 square feet, maybe bigger. He had a walk-in humidor in that office.
Wait, his private office was 4,000 square feet?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because
that's awesome.
Because in that office was like every animal he had ever hunted on.
Oh, wow.
And whatnot. He had this one. It was probably the most amazing piece I ever saw. It was 2 lions that him and his wife had hunted, and the way they had mounted these animals was one lion was on its back paws, standing straight up in the air with his 2 front paws reaching out like this. So it was on 2 legs, and the other one they propped like as if it was coming down, jumping off a cliff, and its 2 front paws were on the shoulders of the lion on its back paws, and its legs were straight up in the air. It was like the most amazing piece I ever saw. It was like a live still of a moment, maybe in the wild. And he had like literally everything: elephants, bears. He had a lot of close calls. He used to
wow.
Yeah. So, one day I thought, I said, Lou's got this great story. So maybe I should go on safari with you once and, see if I can like hunt a rhino or something, have a good story to talk about, He's like, yeah, okay, sure. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, first you got to probably pay the camp, I think like $25,000 or $30,000 for every like 5 days or whatever it is.
All right.
And then he's like, if you're lucky enough to actually find one and hunt one and shoot it, it's probably another 100,000, to be able to shoot it, and that's not even getting it mounted or whatever. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, plan B.
Yeah.
I just admire yours.
Yeah, plan B. But yeah, he was a big hunter. I mean, like He was a ranchman. He had his own ranch, and in fact, his ranch he had permission from Roy Rogers himself. He had a big picture out in the ranch of him and Roy Rogers because he called it Happy Trails Ranch.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yep. He used to have a great. I used to do a lot of trap and skeet shooting, and he had a great it would be a golf course of traps, right? So you would drive these 3-wheelers or 4-wheelers from station to station on his property, and he had some in the trees, some from the lake shooting straight up, and you would just go around his whole property, shooting. It was a great time. It was a great time.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that he was a hunter.
Oh, huge. Him and his wife both. I mean, just big and big game hunting too, not just deer and elk and whatever. I mean, he told me a story about a black bear where, the first shot, he got caught off guard and it surprised him and it was close. And the first shot knocked him on his ass. And he barely had enough time to get a second round in to stop the bear. I mean,
my God.
Yeah. He had some great stories. And then he'd go out and do it again. He was a great guy. Great guy. Just a man's man, men of men, really.
Yeah, I never got the chance to meet him, but just knowing Harry, what is Harry? Harry the third?
The third, Trey.
Yeah, I mean, I can just see that, and they're outdoorsmen, and just as Harry is just as content on a farm or fixing something as he is,
That was his dad, though, right? I mean, he mowed his own lawn, right? Acres of property, mowed his own lawn, right?
Mowed his own ranch.
Yeah.
Lawn.
Right.
His own ranch. But, yeah. Alex, we got questions. Everybody want to know how Sonny is doing, as you want to make sure people call him Sonny.
He's doing okay, man. He's sleeping fairly well. Thank God. It hasn't been too bad. He's putting in 4 hours of sleep. So
that's good.
That's good. But so far, so good, man. Everything's okay. I don't know. There's a new. I guess it's new because with Carmine, it got done at the hospital. I know Abe has a horror story, but this time, I had to wait a week for him to get circumcised, which kind of sucks. I'd much rather just get it all out the way, get it done. He's okay now, but it's a shitty. It was a shitty.
They don't do it in the hospital now.
They don't do it in the hospital,
at the doctor's office.
I thought they always did it at birth, right when the baby was born.
Right.
No, it's a money thing, I believe.
I think so,
in all
too.
honesty.
Well, either way, nothing covers it. Insurance doesn't cover it. So
yeah.
But yeah, so he had a rough Wednesday.
What do they consider it? Cosmetic surgery?
It is cosmetic surgery, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you have to pay outright for it.
But no, other than that, everything is good. Everybody's okay. Mercer's okay. Baby's doing good. They're out and about a little bit. Abe, you got to see him yesterday, so.
And he is the spitting image of Winston Churchill.
He's Winston Churchill. I don't.
You should go buy a little top hat.
Seriously,
he mannequin top hat for him. He literally is a spitting image of Winston Churchill.
I didn't think about that, but I can see that now. Actually,
oh no,
dude,
he's Winston Churchill. I don't know what happened.
More so, even in real life.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah. We had a 80-year-old Englishman.
That's great. How's Carmine adjusting?
Carmine is adjusting great, man. He really is, and I'm really glad because it was something I was a little worried about. Even though Carmine was all jacked up for a brother, I mean, 5 years of Carmine was the show, and it was only about Carmine. But no, man, he's taken to it. He doesn't even call him by any name other than my brother. So yeah, he's all about it. He's
probably happy to get you off his back. He got something else to entertain you guys a little bit.
I left this morning and they were watching Teen Titans together.
That's a common fixation with only kids early on. I was infatuated with having a brother little. Had I known what I was going to get, I might have not been so excited. But literally, my dad would say, "What do you want for your birthday?" I was like, "I want a baby brother and one that could walk and talk." And
right,
I see that with some of my young kids' siblings who don't have brothers. I think it's just a natural, especially when they see other kids with siblings. I think it's a natural thing. So good on Carmine. Good on him.
Yeah, that's
he's
pretty
enjoying the
great.
ride. It's a
My kids were born so close together that that'll never really be an issue. But
Right. That's what
my fear is they're going to fight insanely, I'm sure. I mean, but my brother and I were 8 years apart, but we fought every day, all day. I mean, my childhood, I was never a fan of my brother until later in life.
Basically, you mean you got your ass kicked on a regular basis?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You fought. Okay.
Rug burns where my skin bubbled up. And I mean, he used to beat the living shit out of me.
I like this guy.
Yeah, you probably would like my brother.
Yeah, my kind of guy.
Not a big cigar smoker, but he when my grandfather died, who was the cigar smoker in the family, we did share a cigar together. He's like, all right, this isn't so bad. I was like, see?
How much of a cigar guy were you before KMA, Paul?
I smoked, I didn't smoke any of the boutique stuff. Like, I mean, I did. Like,
you ever go out and like buy a cigar?
Yeah, oh yeah, lots of times.
Really?
I bought boxes before too.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So.
But I smoked, like my grandfather used to smoke. I have a box of them somewhere, like a 5-packs of Romeo and Julietas, and there's another one that he smoked. Nothing crazy. So I had smoked a couple of his cigars in the past. I smoked. Actually, it's funny because Dojo did that gas station cigar special last week, which I enjoyed, and I would smoke those Tijuana Smalls cherries with the plastic tip, and I did smoke acid when I moved to the beach. When I had a house on the beach, I became friends with a guy across the street that was a cop in the little village that we lived in, and he introduced me to acid Cuba Cuba. So I had smoked those for a while, and I had smoked it's another Drew product, Liga Privada. I had smoked, and I enjoyed it. It was strong for me. Like, it was definitely
Drew products. Well, let me see. Which one was it? That vague Drew product I can. Oh, yeah.
It wasn't vague. I was trying to remember the name of the cigar, but that was a cigar that, like, when we would go out, like, for a big steak dinner, and the guys would smoke cigars out on the porch of this steakhouse up there, I would smoke one of those. So yeah, I did smoke cigars, but I didn't know this world. Like, you guys introduced me to the Steve Sakas of the world, which, you know, I mean, with no extra plug to Steve, but that's just a cigar that those cigars, the Sin Compromiso is a cigar I will at any time always go to. I didn't know of Espinosa. You know, the Laranja and the Murcielago those are two of my, like, just regular go-to cigars at this point. Oh, there you go. Is that the Maduro?
No, that's some special shit that I almost stole off his desk a couple times while he wasn't looking.
Oh, wow.
That is a new Laranja. Abe's muted.
Very cool.
Abe's muted. He muted himself.
Abe, you muted yourself with the button.
It's blue.
Abe, it's I don't know. I saw the name of it, but I did. I eyed it up a couple times on his desk.
Is that for the show?
And it was only one. I don't know. Is it for the show? Or is
Azuelo.
Yeah. Abe, I'm curious though. Did you ever venture into the flavored cigar realm?
So
Brandy likes them, right? Doesn't she like acids?
I mean, look,
but Brandy will just as quickly fire up a Padron Principe.
No, I know. But I'm the same way. Like, I don't dislike them. I like them.
Listen,
it's just the right time.
I don't do any of the flavors like cherry, rum, vanilla. I don't do any of that. When I met Jonathan Drew and the gang, they didn't have anything other than acid. That's
right.
What they're selling. So, and then I remember, because when I first started getting into business, where I was just distributing to country clubs and restaurants and stuff like that in Chicago, and I was buying cigars illegally without a license. The hottest brand at the time was Lars Teton. It was like literally like the hottest brand in the country. It was like crazy. And so when acid came out, I was naturally prone to try it because I smoked some of Lars' stuff. And of course, getting into cigar smoking was such a unique thing. So I was a smoker of some Cuba Cubas, Extraordinary Larry, because back then I was into all the big ring sizes, which I sell.
Okay.
I seldom smoke now. And And that's why when we did the Ming project, it was a 6x60. So, you know, that was the Extraordinary Larry's was kind of the cigars I would smoke if I was going to light up an acid. So yeah, I could smoke an acid. I would smoke an acid, you know, if someone offered me one, whatever. But as far as normal flavors or stuff like that, nah.
None of the Tatianas or any of that?
No. I like tobacco flavor. I mean, I'm going to smoke a cigar. I like the flavor of the tobacco. You know?
I do too, but I'll be known to pick up a Java once in a while or something like that.
But if I wanted that flavor, I'd drink a cup of coffee.
Right.
That's my argument. I wouldn't smoke it. You know, I got no problem with the flavor, but I'd just drink a cup of coffee before I'd smoke a Java.
I don't know, man. Those Java cherries.
And then smoke my cigar.
Yeah, I remember, you know, when I first really got into smoking, and you know, I did what I suggest any new smoker does, and you know, I put my full faith into the guy at the cigar shop, which for me was Little Puros down in Del Rey. And I would, you know, he'd give me some, I like that. Here, try this, try that. But I remember it was another cigar smoker who suggested I try an acid, and I didn't know acid was flavored. And I bought it and I took it home and not realizing what it was. You know, not that it was a bad cigar, I didn't like it, but it's just, I'm like, I know I kind of enjoyed that tobacco flavor rather than.
Took you off guard.
Yeah, and it just wasn't for me. You know, the infused thing isn't really for me. The flavor thing isn't for me. I kind of feel like Abe said, you know, if I want a cherry flavor, I'll eat some cherries.
It's funny. I used to work with our old CFO at the company I work at. He was a diehard cigar guy. And actually, Abe, you may have met him once or twice because he used to frequent the Boynton store. He said he had met you. I mean, everybody says that. But he, during the day, he was exclusively blondies. And he would smoke 7 of them a day. But then at night, he would move on to, like, he liked a lot of Saka cigars. He liked, is it the Tabernacle from Nick Melillo? He enjoyed those. But it was funny because during the day, he would never smoke any other cigar but a blondie during the day. Because I think partially because it would last for his walk. We had a park there. So when he would take his breaks, he would take a walk around the park, and that was enough time for him to smoke a blondie. But he was big into both types of cigars. I mean, to each his own. That people, there's most of the time I see it's divided though. Most people are like either, you know, straight tobacco or straight flavored cigars or infused cigars, you know?
Yeah. Hey, speaking of Nick Melillo, got to give the guy credit, man. Abe was showing me yesterday. Nick has Joe Rogan fully engrossed in Foundation cigars, smoking them on the podcast. I mean, well done.
The ashtray sits right there the whole show.
Yeah.
Wise Man Maduro. We were zooming in to see if we could
tell. Which one was it? But yeah.
Last time we had Nick on, I talked to him for like, it had to be an hour and a half before the show. And he was saying, he's like, I sent him, just thinking like out of the blue, I sent him a nice care package with a couple of cigars and an ashtray. And the next show, it was on the show. He didn't talk about it, but it was on the show. But now he's talking about it, everything. Yeah. He's a big fan. Yeah, Nick's got some great product, man.
Absolutely.
I'm bouncing back between the round and the box press of the Anonymous, and I still haven't
made a decision.
I'm very interested to see the debates when they start landing. If people, especially the people who got both, if they have one preference or another.
Do you have a preference?
My gut and my mind wants to tell me box press.
Right, me too. I would say box press.
Because that's originally how we ordered them. We wanted a box press. We told them they just made rounds and send it to us for us to try, and then we couldn't make a decision. Right. But when I smoke around, as I'm smoking now, I say, oh. So either they're just that close that I really just like them both, but it just seems like the one in the moment that I'm smoking, I say, oh, this really might be better of the two. But psychologically, mentally, I think I'm just prone to the box press ones.
Yeah, I feel the same way, but then I smoked around and same thing. The only difference that I can really see is I think the round produces a little more smoke, smokes a little bit easier. But again, I can't. I agree. You know, whichever one I have at the moment, I'm leaning towards. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure that right there you go.
I'm going back and forth.
Oh wow! Did they ship?
Yeah, pretty much pretty much, unless there was a additional product that they were waiting on a transfer or something, they pretty much all went out. Also, I got to do big thanks to my brother Matt Booth, who hooked me up with some man-size bracelets finally.
Oh, look at that! That probably would fit around my neck.
Custom made them, so I thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Bracelets for Abe or necklaces for Paul and I.
Right?
Yeah. Room101.com. Check out their jewelry. He's got some cool new stuff coming up, actually, that he did like an email about a couple weeks ago. A new line that's coming out. So he's got some good stuff, man. I'm probably the only one in the world that when I see Matt Booth in person, we geek out about jewelry stuff, like, you know, semi-precious stones and the types of stuff that he uses, because he uses some not I don't know what the word is, but he uses stuff that a lot of people don't use in men's jewelry. So, and when I worked at Tiffany, I got to work with a lot of rare semi-precious stones that you don't really see a lot, and he uses a lot of that stuff. So it's cool to see. Well,
we got a jam-packed show today.
We do.
Started. We got a couple of guests, but before we get into our Meet Your Maker segment, we have an old friend ready to come on. And Paul, why don't you go ahead and introduce them, because they're going to give us a legislative update, which we haven't had for a long time.
So here today we have a legislative update with our friend Glenn Loop and Joshua Harbusky from the PCA. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
How you guys doing?
How you doing, guys?
What's up, KMA crew?
What's up? How's it going? Good to see you again on KMA, Glenn.
Good to be back.
All right, so shoot, tell us where you reached out to us. You wanted to give our fans an update before the upcoming PCA show. What is going on?
Well, we're at the tail end of the state legislative season, and it's been a vibrant, incredible legislative season for the states. We thought, in light of all the big-ticket government items that the country has confronted during COVID, that there would be this deep box of tax increase legislation across the country, and that simply didn't materialize, at least not now. What did materialize is a host of legislation that would grant local control, local taxing authority, local regulatory authority from the states to localities. Unfortunately, that legislation didn't get through in a host of states like Oregon and Kentucky and Tennessee. But there's still pending tax increases in Massachusetts. A big, significant tax increase just got defeated in Maine. I've got to say kudos to Smoker Friendly and the retailers in Colorado. They beat a tax increase in Lakewood, Colorado this week, and the significance of it was Colorado passed a referendum for a tax increase, and what that referendum also did was granted local governments the power to do it simultaneously with the state. You would have ended up with taxes at the level of Canada, literally, if this had gone through. So instead of fighting it in 120 local governments in Colorado, they wanted to send a strong message, and Smoker Friendly and the folks at Tobacco Leaf and other shops in Lakewood, Colorado, defeated that this night, 2 nights ago. But what's really significant now is the exciting stuff going on in New York. Paul, you can appreciate this, but the retailers in New York have really politically gotten their act together. They formed the New York Tobacconists Association. Mike Glenn is at the helm of it. They've got an active, engaged board. And really, here's the significance of it. The governor took their OTP to 75%, which is just a death knell to cigar shops in the state of New York. They reached out across the aisle. They got Democratic sponsors. They got legislation introduced for a 50-cent tax cap. They've got great bipartisan momentum behind it. And they put in a bill there in New York to allow cigar shops to have a on-premises liquor license. So wow. Two very positive pieces of legislation that have been introduced in New York, and they're really looking at the long game there. They're saying, listen, let's lay the groundwork in 2021. If it doesn't get through this session, we're going to carry this thing through to 2022. And they've got some strong Democratic leadership in the Assembly and Senate sponsoring those bills. So they've really done. It's really a great political case study.
That's huge. That's huge here.
It really is. It really is. And I just give credit to the local leadership.
And as these state legislations adjourn, we produce 2 new resources on premiumcigars.org. All the state legislative victories, so you can see what has been achieved over the past few months. And incredibly, a list of the top 20 federal and state issues that are going on in premium cigar policy. We had, several tax increases introduced at the federal level as well. We were concerned that they may be inserted into the infrastructure package, but it looks like we were able to stave that off. We had a lot of folks that wrote to their members of Congress, met with their members of Congress. So we're going to talk a little bit about all of that at the trade show and our government affairs updates. But federally, we're in, the successes of last year with the court cases. We're still seeing the effects of that, but we're knee deep in a research study with the National Academies of Sciences, which is doing a comprehensive literature review and study on premium cigar, the health effects and the usage. And we've had to present to that committee several times, panel of 14, 15 medical doctors. Needless to say, it's been a bit of a challenge.
Are you guys trying to dispel the adverse effects that they claim cigar smokers may experience? Yeah,
we're combating a lot of the data that they put out on non-premium products. Everything is, conflated. During those sessions, a lot of the public health groups presented as well. The Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, Lung Association, Heart Association, and everything that they presented in those sessions were non-premium cigars. They don't meet the FDA definition. They don't meet the court definition. They don't meet our definition. So, we had to point that out, correct the record, but also assert our small business data. What effect, if we listen to everything what they're saying, what would that mean for U.S. businesses, small businesses, family-owned manufacturers, and all the employees in the Dominican Republic, Nicaragua, and Honduras? They're having migration and immigration issues right now. Well, if you restrict premium cigars and they can't sell that product, there's not going to be any jobs in those countries, and that's just going to amplify the issues that we already see, both nationally and globally.
Got a question. You may not know the answer. Do either of you guys know the percentage of the American population that actually engages in the use of tobacco?
Tobacco go ahead, Josh.
I don't know the full tobacco usage, but I know that premium cigars, about 3 million occasional cigar enthusiasts that what in the average is having 1.2 a month. That's what the data says.
Because, when you hear what the Heart Association does and the amount of effort they put in, if they really were concerned, why don't you see these kind of battles with fast food places, right? And you got to believe that childhood obesity, high blood pressure, cholesterol affects the whole masses more than tobacco. Why is there never any kind of front for something like that from the Heart Association?
Because cheeseburgers are a lot more popular than tobacco.
So in itself, it just shows it's not really about solving a problem.
Well, if it were, we get wrapped up into the same debate when we talk about cannabis legalization, which is still a federal crime. You don't see them, the sugary drinks lobby is much more engaged, but Coca-Cola is more popular than tobacco. And it's really a credit to the demonization of the product over the course of 30, 40 years by the body parts lobby. The premium cigar side of the industry never thought these horrible things would happen to them, and always equated to the finer things in life, the scotch, the wine, whatever the case might be. Meanwhile, the opposition was creeping up behind the industry and doing everything it could to equate this with a pack of cigarettes. And literally, if you read the final rule of the FDA, they did everything humanly possible to equate smoking a cigar to smoking a cigarette. And they're still doing the same thing by equating premium handmade cigars with mass market cigars. It's much more easier to regulate from a one-size-fits-all, lump everybody into the same basket, than to come up with specific regulatory schemes that fit the product. And it's just, for the bureaucracy, much more cumbersome to have to go to that trouble. And I think it's a credit to the industry that it's really forced them into that mindset, as well as the courts have done that.
They keep moving the goalpost too. I think that, look at Tobacco 21, T21 was passed. next thing you know, Suffolk County, New York, introducing a proposal to increase it to 25. Other places 27. In Hawaii, they wanted to introduce a bill that would raise the age of purchase to 99. It's not really about adult usage. Their studies, the FDA NIH study says that premium cigar enthusiasts have their first cigar at the average age of 30. So it's not a youth access issue for the premium sector. We kind of get lumped into that conversation about vape and e-cigarettes, and we have to fight that off.
Yeah, but
about prohibition.
I get that, but my greatest argument is look, forget about the lumping together or whatnot. Just include tobacco, include vape, whatever. The hypocrisy lately is just mind-blowing because I mentioned last week I used the word flabbergasted. I can't remember, somebody got a kick out of it. But I've just been utterly flabbergasted. I've now been back. I went to Vegas the last few months, just came back with my family from New Orleans, right? And, like, if you light up a cigarette, forget about it. You might as well have started the Armageddon. But everywhere now, prolifically, like not even trying to hide it, is the smoke of marijuana everywhere. We stayed in Vegas, and I'm telling you, the whole floor reeked of marijuana, and no one cares. The smell of marijuana, people smoking marijuana. But if I light up a cigarette on that same floor, forget about it. They'll call the police. It's mind-blowing. So, I mean, it's beyond the lumping and non-lumping. There's a psychology now in America of what's just acceptable. And, if you look at the burning and smoking of a marijuana or a joint or whatever, it's no less harmful than smoking a cigarette. I mean, you're burning, you're consuming, you're putting it in your lungs, but it's become okay. That's the part that I just can't figure out as an intelligent society how this has become the norm and acceptable now.
And some of those sponsors of the legislation that goes after tobacco products, those are the same people that are deregulating marijuana and cannabis usage. So there's certainly, I agree with you, Abe, there's a hypocrisy there where they're not having a consistent message with it. We have to fight a very well organized, well funded opposition, and they continue to put out information. And pretty much routinely, every time where we have a presentation, not only do we have to present, we have to then follow up and provide a myth versus fact of what the truth actually is, and use the data. We're not, we don't have the resources to fund these large studies and present industry information beyond some of the small business data that we've collected. But these health studies, we're using what the FDA and the NIH put together and having to refute a lot of these claims that the public health groups are using. So, the study's going to come out next year in 2022, and it could be a real eye-opener for the industry. We're in a bit of a good period for the next few months based off of the court decision, but they recently rescinded, the FDA did, the advance notice for proposed rulemaking for premium cigars, so that they could put further emphasis into this study. So this right now federally is our North Star. We have to really follow this through and through, because it could lead to a lot of problems for the industry.
So if anybody's watching or seeing the show right now or seeing in the future, where can they go to get an update on what may be going on, not just on the federal level, but maybe locally, in their hometown, home state?
Cigaraction.org. Cigaraction.org is the PCA website for all things grassroots. We hope consumers will sign up there to receive updates on what's going on in their respective state capitals, major local metropolitan issues, what's going on at the federal level, position papers that are one-pagers that are easily digestible and able to be shared with elected officials on everything from flavors to public health impact. It's all right there and very easy for the consumer to use.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking your time this Saturday morning and coming up and informing all our fans and listeners on what's going on. And I'm pretty sure we'll probably see you guys in about a week.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
We'll see you guys in Vegas. Take care.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Guys.
I think we got Josh this morning before he had time to fix his hair. He had some wild thing going on over there. I don't miss those mornings, you know.
That's true. It's nice just waking up and just being.
Right. Well, that
All right.
It seems like they're still fighting the good fight, which
You know, I didn't know that about New York either. You know, the big thing here was that if there's a cigar shop that has a liquor license, it's from like 50 years ago and it's grandfathered in. None of these places can serve alcohol.
Well,
You can't have a liquor license and a tobacco license. So if something like that passes, that would, I mean, we could have like a, you know, like your type of place up here, Abe. There's really nothing like what you have up here. There's one or two in Manhattan that have liquor licenses, but it's nothing like what, you know, like your Boynton store or the West Palm Beach store.
Joshua responded.
Oh, I didn't see him. Here we go.
It's too early. It's too early, Josh. I don't go till Thursday night. Let it all dry out till Thursday. Get cleaned up right before the show. I don't have bad hair days, but I have bad beard days now.
Yeah.
Just gets all scraggly. All right. Well, that being said, we got a little bit before the break. Let's introduce our key guest today. Got an interesting story and what went on. He's been in our industry for a long time, representing many well-known companies. And right before COVID, there was an interesting story that broke. We tried to reach out to him back then, and he couldn't really discuss it. And he was kind enough to reach out to me last week, telling me it's all over. And I just thought it'd be awesome to get him on the show, and tell his story. So let's hit our Meet Your Maker segment, Paul.
I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell.
It's time to meet your maker.
Let's hope.
And we got him.
You got me.
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us, Tommy?
Can you hear me or no?
Yeah, we sure can. Tommy Zman Zarzecki, author, humorist, personality, and Cigar Fiend. Tommy, welcome to KMA Talk Radio.
What's up, guys?
Good
How's
morning.
everybody?
Oh, that's perfect. Don't touch your camera. You're doing great.
Don't do
Right.
anything.
I'm not going to. I'm alive and well. And Abe, thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Well, listen, thanks for reaching out and thanks for coming on. You know, it was a crazy story, and we're glad to get you on. Just trying to project a little bit because your phone's a little bit far away, but we're picking you up. I just want to make sure our fans can hear you. Tommy, for anybody watching the show who may not know, you've been in the industry many, many years. Why don't you give us a little background about your career and, you know, how you got in the cigar industry and what you've done within the cigar industry?
Well, I started smoking cigars at a wedding, my brother-in-law's wedding. Can you hear me okay, guys?
Perfect.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So at my brother-in-law's wedding about 1994 or so, and fell in love with it instantly. And I was in advertising, so I was the head of an advertising agency in North Jersey, and got into the cigar business. Then decided to create a magazine. So I created a magazine called The Back Room. Some of you might remember it, but I contacted Lou Rothman about it from JR, and he loved it so much, he said he would sell it and he wanted to write for it and everything. That was really cool, but the magazine fell through. I couldn't get the finance. So
Now that was in the late 90s, yeah?
Yeah, that was in the late 90s.
And
So
was the magazine anywhere outside of your local area, or was it just like a local magazine?
it was like New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, but we were shipping copies all over the United States and Canada because
Wow.
people really loved it. And I had some great interviews. You know, I had a tremendous interview with Lou. I had a fantastic interview with Sean Hannity, who was
wow.
very, very early on in his WABC New York career back then. And I had a couple of other really good interviews and stuff, and it went really well, but the financing just fell through. The cigar boom was kind of coming to an end. But then in the around 2005, 5 or so, I ran into Lou Rothman at JR in Whippany, New Jersey. And he said, "Hey, I'm starting a new magazine. I want you to write for it." Because he always loved my writing. I don't know why. Well, actually, I do know why. He thought my writing style was similar to his, and the most similar to his of anybody else. So I wrote. So it was Cigar Magazine, and that was a pretty popular magazine for quite a while. And wrote for that. Did some great stories, some great interviews. My last story was the cover story with Frank Vincent from The Sopranos, and where I got to spend a day with him, which was really cool at JR. And then the magazine ended. They kind of didn't know how to run a magazine. They had no idea how to run a magazine and how
it wasn't their forte.
What's that?
It wasn't their forte.
No, it wasn't. And you know what? They created, if anybody remembers Cigar Magazine, it was gorgeous. I mean, a beautiful magazine, extremely well written. After like a couple of years, me and actually Steve Sacca became the top writers for the magazine. We were both the most requested, most emails about and stuff. And Lou really fell in love with my writing. But then when Lou left JR, they kind of cut everything, and they cut like everything I was doing, which was video, which was radio, which was their blog, and that really sucked because I loved working at JR. I really did. In fact, Lou took me to a tremendous trip to the Dominican Republic for a week and Honduras in the old Cofradía factory before it closed.
Wow.
And I spent a week in those two places, and I learned more about cigars than I ever thought I possibly could. Spent a week with Daniel Nunes. If you remember, Daniel Nunes was
General Cigar.
General.
Yeah.
What a phenomenal man. The guy just treated me, and he was huge. People there told me that he was as big as the president of the country. He was as popular. And that guy treated me like I was a friend of 20 years for a week. And I just learned so much. It was so great. But anyway, so my thing at JR ended. And the people at Famous Smoke Shop, my friend Gary Korb, who's one of the head writers there for their Cigar Advisor magazine, called me. And actually, he had called me about a year earlier and said, "Hey, you want to do work for us?" I said, "I can't. I'm working with JR." So I called them, had a meeting with their heads, Arthur Zaretsky, and instantly they hired me. So I worked for them for about 6 years, and then something happened. Do you remember what happened, Abe?
We're going to save that. I'm going to save that till after the break to get in that whole story. We're going to divulge in your history a little bit. So you worked 6 years with Famous Smoke. What did you do there, Tom?
Well, worked on a lot of the advertising catalog stuff and stuff with there. They had a great cigar restaurant stuff in there. But when I started there, they started their magazine Cigar Advisor, and they instantly put me on as an editor and writer. And that really grew huge. And it grew huge because we had 4 writers and 4 creative people working on it who are all extremely talented. But because we were at Famous, one of the biggest cigar retailers in the world, every day a new cigar manufacturer would come in and spend the day. So I already knew a lot of these guys, but I really got to know them better and interviewed them for hours every day. One day was Nick Perdomo. The next day was Christian Aroa. The next day was Jonathan Drew. The next day was Eric Espinosa. And name every single one of them. And I got to meet them all, got to hang out with them all, became very close friends with some of them. And then I started their online show, the Facebook Live show that we did once a week for over an hour. And that was tremendous fun because every time a guest would come in, there's Rafael Nadal, my buddy. Good morning from Miami. I know Rafael a long time. And I just did the best interviews, and it was so much fun. But then my my time ended there. So if you want to pick up on that.
We were going to hit it right after we take a break at the top of the hour. So that's such an interesting story. I don't want to interrupt it. So
Sure.
we're gonna tease that to the second half of the show. We got about 7 minutes. When you were at JR, was most of your work in print? Because look, obviously you've been in the industry long enough. You're talking about working magazines, but there was a huge transition from, print to video, print to social media. Were you part of that revolution?
Well, I actually kind of did both. Lou Rothman was a very old school dude, a brilliant genius, the most brilliant man I've ever met in the industry. I mean, brilliant, and brilliant advertiser, but he had a very different way of doing things. And you know what? I miss the guy terrible. I miss the place terrible, but it really changed when he left. So I'm sorry, what was your point again? Because I started thinking of 10 other things to say.
It's all right. You've been in the communication part of this industry for a few decades.
Oh yeah. You said that.
The transition from like print mostly is the only medium to now video, social media. Were you part of that revolution when you were there with Famous? Were you involved in their videos and social media production?
Well,
mostly print.
It was kind of the mid 2000s, so it was still a lot of print. It was a lot of print. Actually, a lot of stuff. But yeah, then I started doing more online stuff. But I started doing stuff for their catalog, stories, and they wanted me to do fun and funny stories. I had columns. Amongst other things I was doing their daily email for them. Every day I wrote an email, which was a story. And that was not easy to do, but it was kind of pretty cool. But let me tell you real quick, the coolest thing I did for them was Lou said, I guess when he was kind of towards the end of his career, he said to me, would you like to try to write for the catalog and impersonate my writing where people will think it's me? And I said, yeah, I think I can do it. So I did a couple of stories. He tweaked them, made some changes, whatever. So I came back to him with a story about how his wife, Lavonda, would make him and the kids always pick 6 potato chips out of a large bag. And they could only take 6. And since they were little kids to adults, they just always took 6. And I wrote this whole story about it as I was Lou Rothman. And I sent it over to him. And he calls me up 2 days later. And if you remember Lou's voice, he goes, yeah, Tom, this is Lou. I got a question to ask you. I go, what's that? Did I write this fucking article or did you? And
that's exactly how Lou would say it.
And I said, are you serious? He goes, yeah, I don't know if I wrote it or you wrote it. And I go, I wrote it. He goes, you got the job, man. So,
wow.
Yeah, I started writing articles. Those funny articles that he always wrote? I started writing them for the JR catalog as if it was Lou. And people thought it was Lou. And that was for about a year. That was pretty cool.
Wow.
Did you didn't follow in Lou fashion and write everything for the catalog the night before it went to print, did you?
No, I didn't. And man, I'll tell you, that's what he did. He was out of his mind. He would stay up for like a day and a half and just write.
That's what he's told us the couple of times that he was on. He said he knew he was good at it, but he hated sitting and writing. So he would procrastinate and put it off for, he knows the production schedule for months and months and months in advance. And he said he would wait 3 months and not write anything. And then he would the night before just pull an all-nighter.
He would do it all the last day when he had like a week's worth of writing. He did like in a day and a half.
Yeah.
Lou is tremendously talented, and there'll never be anything like what he did for JR and for the JR catalog. Never. There'll never be anything like what he did.
I agree. He was a pioneer, honestly, a visionary of this industry early on. We've had the blessing of having him on the show multiple times, and probably in about another 3 or 4 months he'll be heading back down this way. He lives down this way half the the year. So we'll probably hopefully get him on in the early spring, late winter, maybe hopefully this year.
You know,
And get some new stories.
I hadn't seen Lou for a while after I left. He left JR, and then he was kind of in Florida a lot. But he actually came up to back to New Jersey, and Arthur Zarzecki, who owns Famous, actually invited him to lunch, and we had lunch together, the three of us, which was really pretty phenomenal. Because I don't know if you know the story, those two men hated each other more than anything you could ever imagine during their years of owning their cigar stores. They fucking hated each other. They hated each other. And the two of them were talking like they were buddies for 30 years. And I was having lunch, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Last time I saw Lou a couple of years ago.
And Arthur Zarzecki, another interesting guy in his own right. I mean, these guys are pillars for what they created. We're going to take a short break, and then we're going to talk to Tom, because at one point, eventually, Famous let him go, and then there was an incident that happened shortly after that caught national attention, made a lot of waves, and basically was kind of initiated my communication with Tom about what had happened, and led us here to the show today to talk about the story. So we're going to do that, and also As the Record Spins by Owl Cigars. We're going to see what is going on with Coop in an hour or two, and of course, Tale of the Tape Season 2. We'll be back in literally 1.5 minutes. Keep it lit.
Don't go anywhere, Tommy.
Surgeon general warning. Cigar smoking can cause lung cancer and heart disease. Currently available at your favorite cigar store, the Romeo y Julieta Reserva Real Nicaragua is another fantastic collaboration between AJ Fernandez and Rafael Nadal. Landing a #1 cigar of the year of 2020 by Cigar and Spirits magazine, the Reserva Real Nicaragua is handcrafted at Tabacalera AJ Fernandez. This Nicaraguan Puro is a medium to full-body cigar that is packed to the brim with flavor notes of leather, coffee, and red pepper, which pairs nicely with a spiced rum. Available in 4 sizes, Romeo y Julieta returned to prestigious form with the Reserva Real Nicaragua that should be enjoyed by all. Surgeon general warning. Cigar smoking can cause lung cancer and heart disease.
Oh, hi. Staying at my brother-in-law's house. Me, the kids, and the dogs. But, it doesn't really matter where you are or to each his own with whatever you're surrounded by, because you can enjoy your favorite things wherever you go, like Bonner Private Wines. Now, this Malbec is an Argentinian Malbec that's almost as rare as this common Eider right here. You see, it's grown in a vineyard that is 8,950 feet in the air. It's part of a sampler pack that Bonner Private Wines offers KMA listeners. All you have to do is go to KMAWines.com and you can get a 3-bottle sampler for a great price. We give you a discount from KMA, and they'll also discount the shipping for you. So check it out, KMAWines.com, and before the show starts up again, I'm going to talk to this very rare, beautiful specimen of a bird and finish up my Bonner Private Wines. Keep it lit.
All right, well done. I got to ask, though, am I insane, or did that duck look like it had a tracking device on its leg?
You know what? I didn't even look at it. It's over here somewhere. It might.
It had like a metal bracelet on its leg still.
Oh, you know what? I think because it's such a rare bird that my brother-in-law got, I think they have to put the tag on it for the hunting license. And even when you taxidermy it, it's better to keep it on there for like federal purposes. He said it's a super rare bird. He's like, I haven't found a spot for it yet, so you can use that as a prop.
Coop,
I was like, all right, cool.
Coop busted you. He's like, did he just do that commercial this morning before the show? Because you're wearing the exact same outfit.
I wear the same thing every day, Coop, but thanks for pointing that out. Yes, I did it this morning because there will be another one. We recorded one, but the video was lost because I deleted it from my phone once I sent it to my computer, and my computer, as great as Apple is, my computer shit the bed last week. I lost absolutely everything, and they were unable to recover it from my MacBook Pro.
You know,
so now I'm sitting in front of a brand new one.
By the way, we kind of brushed over that, but Paul literally gave us the dog ate my homework excuse of 2021, and
I have proof.
My computer, the dog ate my homework.
You didn't like that commercial? I thought that was good.
I was taking my 11 o'clock.
Listen, it was a good commercial, but we got to get you a lapel mic.
I bolt to the.
We're going to ship you a lapel mic this week because when you do the phone from far away,
that's fine.
We're going to send you a lapel mic. But the question before the break, which my man Kirk Kendall, gotta love him, and we get Tommy. Let's get Tommy back on here.
All right, here's Tommy, our music maker.
We got a question of the historic epic lunch that Lou and Arthur had from Kirk Kendall. Who paid for lunch?
I don't think either of those cheap bastards paid for lunch. I think it was me. So
I think it was me.
No, actually, I'll tell you this. Lou, everybody thought he was like a cheap, crazy guy, and it was quite the opposite. He wasn't. He was very giving, very wonderful guy, but it could also rip you to shreds in 2 seconds flat and make you feel like a 2-year-old crying. And then 5 minutes later, he's the nicest guy in the whole world. So interesting.
Lou fights me for a check every time we go to lunch. Like literally, I won't say I got it, and he'll say okay ever. He fights me a check. He comes to town. He will message me in advance because he smokes True Blue cigarettes, which it's
I always know when Lou's coming because somebody's out on a mission.
Yeah, I literally do. I send an employee out on a mission to find True Blue cigarettes wherever they could find them because it's not a common brand to find. So we end up getting a few cartons for him before he comes to town, so you don't have to waste a month looking for them.
Well, and he rarely smokes cigars. In fact, do you guys know what his favorite cigar is? Don Diego. What was it? The La Privada. It was like a Lonsdale. That's what he smoked. That was it. He knew a lot about cigars, but didn't really smoke them much.
But yeah, so and he fights me every time when he comes. Like I just take the cigarettes, so don't worry about it. He fights me every time. So he doesn't really have alligator arms, but I think with those two it would have been more of a pride thing who would pick up the lunch, but obviously maybe it wasn't. So before we get into the story that we brought you on the show about, I do have one little segment I gotta run, Tom. It's from one of our sponsors, Avo Cigars. It's called As the Record Spins, and our friend Eddie Guerra from Avo has a question specifically for you this week. So let's run that intro, Paul. All right, Z-Man, here we go. Our friend Eddie has a question for you, and with a guy with your history and background, you may have to dig deep in the archives, but he would like to know, what is your greatest cigar/tobacco-related memory that you have?
I think going to Dominican Republic and Honduras with Lou Rothman and a couple people from General. It was
that started out on a private jet too, didn't it?
Yeah, that started private jet out of Morristown Airport in New Jersey. A 6-person jet, which I had never been on. They fly at like 40,000 feet, which is like 100 degrees below zero. So one crack in the windshield and you're dead. But we landed in West Palm Beach to refuel, and I remember I was so excited. I was like a fucking 10-year-old boy on this plane. I'd never been on a private jet before. Taken a million flights, but never on a private jet. And it is a hell of an experience. I mean, you don't want to get on a regular plane again after you've been on a private jet. Yeah. And I remember we landed, the whole trip down to West Palm Beach, I was just talking and talking, and Lou was trying to sleep, and I was talking to him, and I was talking to Keith, who was the VP at General, and talking and just so happy. And when we landed, I called my wife and I said, "Hey, we landed, blah, blah, blah." So I walked over to the group who was sitting on a bench, and I go, "Hey, everybody." And Lou looks up and he goes, "Hey, Tom, we just took a vote for you to shut the fuck up the rest of the way." So that was my experience. So I kind of shut up the rest of the way. And then we went to, we flew to the Dominican Republic. We're treated like royalty. I mean, absolute royalty because of Lou Rothman. Like I said, spent a week with Daniel Nunes, which was beyond spectacular. We were riding in a Hummers in the countryside of Honduras. And I was in the middle, and Lou was on my left, and Daniel was on my right for hours, just talking about actually everything but cigars. We talked about baseball because Daniel was a big Mets fan and Lou was a Yankee fan, and that caused problems. But and then the trip to Cofradia, which was like a couple of hours through the mountains. I mean, dude, right out of television, right out of a movie. Mountainside roads and no villages, no stoplights, and finally you show up on this village that had the Cofradia factory in it, and spent about 3 or 4 days there. And I'm telling you guys, I learned so much that I didn't know, because when you experience the cigar factory and meet the people firsthand and see all the tobacco and see every phase of it, and then we would dine in where they actually had women that cooked for them, and we would dine on these big meals. And I remember Daniel said, "Do you want lemonade?" And I go, "Sure." And he goes, "All right, the girl's on the back picking it off the tree right now." That's what it was like. And that was that. I tell you, I had a lot of. There's like 20 things I could probably name that was the best thing I remember about cigar industry, but that one changed me so much. I came back a completely different person, including the worst diarrhea for about 2 weeks that I ever had in my life. So, and it's funny because
revenge.
I didn't have anything there. I ate and drank like a king, and they're like, "You sure you're okay?" "I'm fine." A day after I came home, oh my God, I shit for like a week. So sorry to bring that up, but that was amazing. And I think to spend it with the guys I spent it with was, who's going to get to do that? So that was very cool. And that's what was cool about Lou too. So.
Well, there you have it. As the record spins, Thomas Zarzecki, thank you for your response. That being said, so I believe the incident originally happened early 2020. What led up to this incident happening was you actually got laid off. It was late 2019.
Yeah,
you had gotten laid off with a group of people from Famous at the time, correct?
Yes.
They let a bunch of you go, and I'll let you continue the story from here. What happened after that?
Well, I had a contract for 6 years, and they just didn't renew it. A money-saving thing, because several people got let go. And, I was, so you guys know, I was always considered a freelance writer there. I was never an employee, actually. A lot of people don't know that. And so I got let go, and a few days later, I did a texting with a good friend who had a good position there. And this person said they really missed me. They were going to miss me terrible. And I made a stupid off-color joke. Now, it was a joke because this person has a wackier sense of friggin' humor than I do. Oh boy, here we go. And really, this person had insane sense of humor. So I made an insane joke. Well, this person laughed hysterically, said that's the funniest thing they ever heard, put emojis up on the screen of people laughing. That's great. I said something else. They said, "Oh, that is hysterical. I love it."
Can you share? Can you share what you exactly said?
Yeah, only because, and I only said this because I was talking to such a good friend.
Right.
That it's the kind of thing you say to a good friend as a joke, knowing it will never go anywhere because it's a joke.
Right.
There's nothing serious about it at all. And I said, "Hey, oh yeah, I just want to let you know, I'll be in next week with an AK-47. I said, but I'll call you an hour ahead of time and let you know so you can get out of there." Now
you don't own one. You don't own one weapon at all.
No, I actually, first of all, I'm in New Jersey, so owning weapons is very difficult. I do not own any guns. I believe in gun rights and Second Amendment 100%, totally for it, but I don't own anything because being in New Jersey, it's very difficult. The laws are very, very brutal here. I don't even know what an AK-47 looks like or sounds like. So, and the person knew it was a joke. Well, that night at about 11:30 at night, I get a phone call, and he says it's a guy that's one of the captains at the police department from the town where Famous is, and starts telling me, you said this thing on your phone today about about coming in and shooting and with an AK. And I go, what? How the hell do you know this? What? I found out that the person that I texted that thought it was a big joke and laughed hysterically got second thoughts and ended up calling the police.
Have you since then talked to that person?
No. Legally, I was not allowed to.
Right. Because, I'm thinking of this myself, right? Because probably maybe 20 years ago, no one would think twice. And I believe probably in the moment he was laughing right with you. But I think in today's day and age with all the crap that's happened and you've seen, he probably started going nuts in his head. What if? That's
absolutely correct. So, but dude, you got to figure, I'm in shock. I'm thinking this is a joke. I'm thinking it's somebody that's set up and they're playing the biggest joke on me. And I actually went online while I was talking to him and looked him up, and yeah, he's a captain at the police department.
Wow.
So I kind of shit myself a little bit, and I was really actually a whole lot.
I'm sure.
And I was glad because my wife was away down the Jersey Shore at her parents' house, so I didn't have to deal with that. And after talking to me for 5 minutes, the cop says to me, "Oh my God, Tom, I wish we had called you first before we called the DA." Meaning, I realize you're not guilty. It's obvious by what you're saying. And so he called me back 2 times within the next hour, so 3 times total. And he told me, no, the DA has an arrest warrant out for you. And I was like, what? You have to come in to the police station tomorrow here in Pennsylvania, which was about an hour and a half away. And we're going to arrest you and put you before a judge. And dude, guys, I never did anything to get arrested. I made a joke to a friend who is the kind of friend you could joke like this to.
Listen, I mean, in your defense of that statement, the whole expression "going postal" has become common, right? How many times have you heard somebody say, "I'm going to go postal" or "he's going to go postal"? I mean, it's not even an uncommon joke,
right?
I mean, sad, but it's the fact. So the next morning you drive yourself down and you turn yourself in.
Yeah, drove down there.
They cuffed you and put you in jail.
Yeah, and actually it was 3 cops. 2 of them, when I told my story to, they believed me right away because it's so obvious that this was all a mistake. One of the cops was a real prick and wasn't cool to me at all. But yeah, fucking nightmare is right. And it was, they actually drove me down to a place with a holding cell, put me in a cell for several hours and booked me and arraigned me. And I had to wait for a judge to show up on a large computer screen to hear what he had to say. So that all took about 4 hours. And I'm telling you, I'd never experienced anything like this in my life. I've never been arrested. I don't do bad things. Well, some things. But those are sexual. And those are with women who enjoy
Careful, Tom. You might end up getting a call at 11:30.
I was going to say.
Careful.
Yes, I know. See, I don't learn, do I?
Yeah, Paul's already competed sending him emails for his the room he's in.
So no, I like ladies, so I'll stay away from that. So basically, I was there for about 4 hours, and then finally, they told me the judge might not show, and you'll have to spend the weekend in jail. And I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me! And you gotta realize, guys, I'm 1,000% innocent. I didn't do anything. I told a stupid joke to a friend that turned nightmarishly sour. And then the judge came on, and he was a real bastard. I mean, an absolute prick to me, and was nasty and talked down to me and threatened me. And for like 10 minutes, I was like, I wanted to puke. And finally said he was going to let me go on reconnaissance. And so they let me go, and I had to wait for trial.
Which took how long? Because this is all during COVID. This is all during COVID now.
Well, that was right before COVID started. That was late
Right,
September.
so you're waiting during COVID for a trial process.
Yeah. So really, actually, it wasn't COVID yet, because I had my first trial process in January. I think it was January 6th of 2020. And so COVID really wasn't big then or yet, right? It wasn't big till like end of February, March. And so I went to this, I had a lawyer, a law firm and everything that a friend of mine recommended from Pennsylvania. And the lawyer was great. And we had a first date in court, kind of like an arraignment kind of thing. Like, so the cops are there that were on the arresting thing, and the judge and me, and that's all that was in the room. And also a local reporter, which was annoying as hell. But my lawyer asked them, why do you have, now let me get back a little bit, a magazine article, an online article came out about this. And then who came out with it from the cigar world came out with a huge, what's their names, guys? It's slipping my head.
Half Wheel?
Yeah, Half Wheel came out with a
we saw the Half Wheel article.
Did they try to reach out? Because I reached out to you right away to try to get you on KMA, because if you want a story, you get the story from the person involved in the story.
Right.
Did Half Wheel reach out to you at all before they went to the article?
No, they didn't. And that's what really, really pissed me off. And people have mixed thoughts about Half Wheel and Charlie Minato, but I expected. Why wouldn't they contact me, write me, or call me and say, hey, we want your side of the story? No, what they did was they kind of republished the newspaper article or the article from the local website, but changed some things in it and got it completely wrong. So basically what these articles all said was, and in the headline of the article said that I threatened to come in and shoot everyone at Famous. And I didn't know about these articles until my lawyers found out. And I didn't know they said that I was going to come in. They said I was going to come in and shoot everyone at Famous. they're all like my best friends in the world. Why would I go in and shoot everyone at Famous? It was over. It was no big deal. And it was something somebody told the cops. And I don't know why they told them, but they said that I said, yeah, he said he was going to come in and shoot everyone. Why the hell would the person I talked to, who was supposedly a friend, say this? I mean, it was a monster lie. And also...
And meanwhile, you have the text copy that just basically made a joke saying, I'm coming in with an AK.
Yeah, I had the text copy. And the thing is, the cops had the text copy. But in the police report, it says that I said I was going to come in and shoot everyone. Now, why would they say that when they have the copy of the text that we sent back and forth, supplied by my lawyer? And
if the world could only be so lucky that, you know, any mass shooter would give a heads up and a warning to people before they go somewhere.
Yeah, right.
The world would be such a better place.
Guys, just let you know. So, Half Wheel, I think, really made a terrible mistake not contacting me, because I think they would have thought twice. Because you know the thing is, guys, everybody I told the story to believed me. Everybody, because it's so crazy, and anyone who knows me and knows my background and knows who I am knows I would never do. It's not me. It's so. And let me just say, a side note: the coolest thing of all, though, during this was the support I had from the cigar industry. Now, I told you I made a lot of friends in the cigar industry, but let me say, Nick Perdomo and his wife Janine supported me during this like I've never seen. They were in my corner 1,000% vocally about it. Eric Espinosa, Jose Blanco,
Christian Aroa.
Well, Christian Aroa got my friggin' cell number from somebody. Doug found it and called me, and he said to me, I support you 1,000%. I don't believe a word anyone said about you. And wow, I mean, that's unbelievable. But
yeah,
I had
that's great.
I had like 15 conversations with cigar guys like this. You know, my good buddies from Viva La Vida, Gus and why am I forgetting his name? But because he's my good friend. And like 10, 15 cigar companies all just said to me, no, we totally with Steve Sacca, Pete Johnson. And I am friends with all these guys. And I know I'm name dropping, but it's fun. And Sia Alessic says she never stopped loving me. She's a wonderful girl. And so that was very cool. And this whole time they've supported me. And now that, well, I won't get to the end yet, but because the end is good. It's a good ending to this. But this was a very difficult time of my life. And what added 6 months to the process was COVID, because the courts shut down. And boy, did that suck a whole lot, because then I couldn't solve anything. So should I get kind of to the end?
Well, yeah. I was gonna set you up. So you go to court and they find out that you never actually made this statement anywhere of going in there, and they actually expunge it from the record. Is that correct?
Well, it probably took about 6 trips to court in Pennsylvania.
At one of the courts.
Paying a law firm thousands of dollars for something that I was completely innocent of. And finally, they sent me or actually a person from the court contacted me and said, we're going to put you on a 6-month, I guess, probation, whatever that was. But after the 6 months, we're going to lift all charges against you. They're dropped, which has just happened. All charges are dropped against me. Come on, a yay, guys. Yay!
That's right.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and then
but
they said...
It's more than that. It's more than just a dropping of the charges.
Yes, which is really great. They said that they're going to eliminate it from their Pennsylvania state computer system records. So I was told by the person from their court system that it will be as if it never happened. It will be completely
Wow.
eliminated. So that's in the process of happening right now. But I am lifted of all charges, and
Big congrats.
It's so great because it really hurt my cigar business, as you can imagine. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate that. You know, I was pretty busy in the cigar world, and this really hurt. But so many people stood up for me that when this was happening, John Lipson from Alec Bradley, and he called me up, and because I've known John forever, and he's kind of like second in their company in marketing and all their branding and stuff, and he said to me, "We want you to do work for us." I go, "But you know what happened to me?" He goes, "No, we believe you 1,000,000%." And Alan Rubin got on the phone with me, and we talked a couple times, and they both said they believed in me 1,000%, and they wanted to prove it by giving me work. And I was like, "Holy shit!" So they gave me a lot of work. It was great money, great stuff. Alan Rubin went to the point where he actually called Arthur Zarzecki from Famous and told him, "I'm working with Tommy, and I don't want you to have a problem with this." And he said he didn't have a problem with it. And then COVID hit, and they stopped doing everything. Because COVID really affected companies like Alec Bradley, who don't make their own cigars. Companies who control and made their own cigars, and you guys, I know this. Thank you, Mark. Mark Williams is awesome. Guys who know let's see, companies like Perdomo, and in general, and any of the cigar makers, AJ Fernandez, they were fine. In fact, did phenomenal. Nick Perdomo told me he did so amazing during COVID. But the smaller companies like Alec Bradley, like Viva La Vida, like several others, they had a tough time during COVID because the cigar factories were making their own cigars first with the tobacco they had. And just thought I'd throw that in as a side note. But bottom line, this is over with. And the person that turned me into the cops and really I thought was a friend really hurt me, and I don't know why, but it's over with. And and let me tell you guys out there that Abe put something on you put something on Facebook about what happened to me, and we had never talked before. And then I contacted you and I said, "Abe," I told him the story, what happened, right? And I laid the whole thing out for him. And Abe, I could tell you, totally believed me, because everybody believed me once I told them the story. And you said, I want you on my show to, talk about, give your side of the story. And you were very cool about it. And I said, my lawyers want me to wait before I get on the, well, it's been a year and a half.
Yeah.
And finally, it's happened. And you invited me on, and that is the coolest thing. And you guys are great.
Thank you. Listen, we're happy for you. I mean, glad this is behind you. I mean, what a nightmare situation. Now, I'm curious, are you resentful to that friend? Do you envision yourself one day ever having a conversation about what happened with him?
Extremely. Yeah, but I gotta learn. You gotta learn to let that kind of stuff go where it comes from anger. I hope I can do it not from anger.
And do you think one day you'll reach out or have a conversation with him about all this? Or do you just think that's it, it's done, it's over, I'm done with that chapter of my life?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I don't know. According to the when I got arrested and stuff, I was no longer allowed to go to Famous or talk to any employees at Famous, which was bullshit because I had like 10 best friends in the world that I worked with.
Was that by
day.
Famous, or was that by your lawyer telling you it's in your best interest not to do that?
No, it was by the police. in the court system. So,
oh wow.
Now I guess when this gets lifted, I have to make sure that I can freely contact and talk to people there, because I had some of my best friends in the world there. You know, I worked there for 6 years every day. So I can move forward. So if anybody
Speaking of moving forward, what's in the future for Tommy Z?
Eating competitions. You know, that's what I'm big on. No, my background was before I got into cigar stuff, I ran an ad agency, and I've actually ran several ad agencies that I owned and ran. One was larger, one was smaller, and so I've maintained doing advertising work during this. I actually do a lot of work. You know the brand Copperfit, which is it's the brand that makes like the elbow and the knee stuff, and Brett Favre and Jerry Rice are in the commercials. I do a lot of writing and stuff for that, and so I've stayed busy, but and I stayed in touch with the cigar guys, and some of them are still like a couple of them are really good friends. But I want to get back into the cigar business, something fierce. I think I have so much to offer, because it's not just my my knowledge of cigars, but I think my ability to be on camera and on radio. Because if any of the guys out there know that I did Famous's Sirius XM radio commercials for 6 years, and I did all their commercials, and I did all their videos. I hosted, and so I'm really, really good at that stuff. So would love to get back into that again, but so am I begging? Sure, why not? What the hell?
Go get them, man. Well, I predict it won't be long before we'll see you deep in the trenches of the cigar verse. So, wishing you the best of luck, my friend.
You know, Abe, it's funny. I was thinking about the whole situation in the statement, and you quite often make the same kind of statements, except it's in the opposite direction. Your statement is usually, "Somebody please just kill me right now."
Literally, I literally just shoot me.
Just kill me. God, just take me now.
Seriously.
Is that illegal? Is that illegal?
I don't know.
I'm pretty confident. I probably say a half a dozen things a week I could probably get arrested for.
Right.
Yeah, but so let me say again, big thanks to all the fans out there that, and I do, you know, a lot of you may not know me or have never heard of me.
We're not hearing you at all right now.
Yeah, I think we may have lost you.
That's funny. Might be a good time to see if he wants to come back on while we get Coop on. While he's closing. Let's see what's going on with the Coop with Scoop.
We got through the story.
Oh yeah, we got through the whole story. What a crazy story it was.
Oh my God, what a story!
If Tommy chimes back in, get him on. You know, if he comes
back. I'm watching him. All right, here we go. Let's go to Coop.
What's going on with Coop?
Hey, yo, what's my theme music?
The Scoop with Coop. Breaking industry news. Hear it first on KMA Talk Radio and cigar-coop.com.
Joining us from the Carolinas before he makes his trip to Las Vegas across the country, I believe in the parlor or in the dining room?
The kitchen.
Is Coop.
The kitchen?
Oh, the kitchen.
The kitchen.
That's where we had the best service, right?
Exactly. Hey, good morning, guys.
William Cooper.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Coop.
Yeah, hey, Alex, we haven't had a chance. Congratulations.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Very
good.
Wow.
I've nubbed it.
I hope Coop got that press release.
I did, and it was. By the way, and I want to give Abe credit. It was very well done, very well executed. Not like most of the press releases that have been going on the last couple of weeks for the industry trade show, which on a whole, the cigar industry is getting a failing mark in my book. But Abe did a very good job.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Believe me, I didn't want to have to hear you complain another KMA episode.
I can't wait to write like a recap of the excuses for how press releases have been done, because this year the excuses have been. They're just unbelievable. It's not where it's going into on this show, but yeah, it's been crazy.
How many people are using COVID? COVID's like the blanket excuse for the universe right now. Oh, yeah, I forgot fabric softener. Yeah, it was COVID.
Well, the problem is why I have that's not really the issue. 2 companies this week told me they couldn't get me a press release because some other publication was hounding them all day, and that was the reason why they couldn't get it to me, because they had to get the other person off their back. I'm like, that's not an excuse for not getting me something.
Oh, so because you were polite and professional, you didn't.
Right. Because I'm polite. So I said, well, next year we'll just hound you. Now that we have a 4-man team, we'll just start hounding you guys, because I think that's the way we have to get it. I mean, it's it's not like these are things I was working on with these companies that suddenly I read about somewhere else.
It's kind of really easy for us. We have a saved email list file of all the people we send it to, and we just hit send.
Wait, you have a press release email list? Oh my God, that's amazing.
Right? I mean, like rocket science.
It's complicated for these companies. I know it is, but yes, it's complicated. But yes, you can use that email list, and you can make a distribution list, so you only have to put one thing in the 2, and you just send the information.
You know what's funny is I actually went through the list before we sent it.
Yeah.
For anonymous, and because God didn't listen to me come out, I'm like, holy cow, they've even been around for 5 years. Get that name off there. Get that name off. We actually weaned out like 10 emails out of that list.
Yeah. No, it's true, but it's been a crazy couple of weeks because
first time I've ever burned a band on a cigar.
Look at that, Abe.
And the only reason why I'm holding the band is protecting my fingers from the heat.
I was gonna say that's
Great cigar.
So go ahead, Coop.
Sorry, Coop. Go ahead, my friend.
All right, so we have this bunch of stuff that's happened this week. I'll just kind of touch on, I think, some of the more prolific ones. But we talked about Ashton cigars a couple weeks ago, and they've been quiet for a while. And,
quiet for a while?
Yeah.
How about quiet for a lifetime?
Well, this week they announced a new line under La Aroma de Cuba, the La Aroma de Cuba Pasión. This is going to be an all Nicaraguan cigar that they're going to have, and
is that their 21st rendition of La Aroma de Cuba?
I was going to say that seems like that's the one that gets expanded on the most.
But it does. I don't know. At least to where I am, it does very well this spring.
Okay, so you have to understand, Alex.
Yeah.
If they want to expand any line, there's only 2 people they can go to: Carlito or Pepin.
That's it.
So, where do you think that expansion is going to happen easier?
Fair, valid, very valid.
Yeah, we haven't seen a new Ashton cigar probably in about 6 or 7 years, and La Aroma Cuba is probably a little less than that. But this is a more, they haven't done a full blown La Aroma new line in a while. This is gonna be all Nicaraguan. It's gonna feature a shade grown wrapper from the Garcia Farms. It's gonna be available in 6 sizes. And that's expected to be shown at the trade show next week. And it's kind of got some cool green banding going on it, which it actually looks kind of nice. Green bands are usually hit or miss, but these look pretty nice on them.
So I think that's the 6th rendition of La Aroma de Cuba.
I think it's the 6th.
San Cristobal has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 renditions.
Yep. There you go, Abe. You're right. You're right on the mark, Abe, with that.
Yep.
All right.
Did you just look at a price list?
What was that?
Did you just look at a price list to figure that out?
Yeah. It's right at my desk. I was just going over with it.
Because Abe was here yesterday.
All right, we got another story on La Paulina cigars. And Abe, do you remember when La Paulina launched a while ago? They came out with a cigar called the Kill Bill, the KB.
Listen, Kill Bill was actually my go-to cigar in that line.
Great cigars.
I love the Vitola. The flavor for me was on point because of the Vitola. I was a fan of Kill Bill too, as well.
It was a little longer, right?
Yeah, it was a little bit longer in case you wanted a little bit longer of a smoke. Mm-hmm. So what do they got? They got something new coming out with Kill Bill?
Well, they've taken Kill Bill and they've Kill Bill was actually an extension of a line called El Diario. So It had the Goldie Paley picture on it. By the way, Abe, on point, I think you and I talked about this a while ago. Love that cigar to Kill Bill. Well, now Kill Bill, which they call KB, is getting its own line. It's called the KB series. and they kind of came out now with 4 sizes in it. The sizes are called Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4. And the packaging is kind of reminiscent of that Quentin Tarantino like vibe. Is I guess the best way to put it. Yeah, they got away from the classic packaging they had with the Goldie Paley picture, and they've gone completely different with this. So they're calling it the KB series. So I'm interested to see what the reaction to the packaging is going to be. 2 of the sizes, Part 3 and Part 4, are Part 3 is a 5x54, 5x52 Robusto. Part 4 is a 6x54. They're saying that those have extra Ligero, and they're even going to be more amped up. But they're going to be showing this off next week at the trade show, so that's going to be, I think, pretty interesting to see.
Does packaging ever turn you off on a brand?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't really for me.
If folks have heard me, I am not a fan of these craft paper bundles. I don't know. I'm not a fan of them. Because I'd rather see the cigars, you know, they're hard to put craft paper bundles on a retail shelf. So for me, I can't really see them unless I kind of have to pull a cigar out or have someone pull the cigar out for me. I don't really like that. So I'm a traditional box guy.
Well, I mean, my opinion is, and I tell this to Alex, like when we get projects like this, we sell them by the bundle because they don't belong on a shelf. You can't display these again. This stuff is good for limited projects, so you don't need the investment of a box.
Oh, agree. But when I see, like, for example, and I guess I pick on them a little, some of these Davidoff releases that are coming in the bundles, Davidoff just doesn't belong in a bundle. It's a luxury item, you know.
I refuse to carry that series. That was my exact argument. You want me to sell $35 bundles? Get out of here. Series and whatever, they were sending me bundles. Get out of here.
And I'm not knocking on cigars. I'm sure the cigars are great. But yeah, I can understand that. I mean, this is like
my question was misguided. The point I was trying to make more is, would repackaging of a line or a brand, if you didn't like the packaging, turn you off of a cigar? So like Camacho rebranded their whole thing
right
at one point. Now Kill Bill's repackaging. Now I'm a fan of Kill Bill. I could care less if they put it in a turd-colored box or whatever. I'm going to go grab that smoke and smoke it.
Right, me too. I am. But you know what happens with human? They haven't quite said. You know, here's the thing: when packaging changes, the human mind says that the blend has changed. That's kind of always been the thing with cigars.
That's fair.
Which has happened. So, in my mind, no. But you know, it's just the mind plays funny games on you sometimes.
See, I see it this way. The people who are Kill Bill fans like you and I, we're going to go grab the cigar. As long as it's the same cigar, we're going to love it.
Right.
But the packaging change may attract people who have never seen or smoked that cigar.
True. This is going to attract a whole different one. This is such a radical change with the packaging. That
you got a picture of it, Paul?
Yeah. It's on the Coop site.
Oh, is it? I tried to look for one.
I've been looking for it. It's on the Coop site.
Should have went to Coop.
I can share it.
What the Coop?
My man, let Coop share it.
I think you got to text it to me, Coop.
Yeah, it's impossible. Let me try one more thing real quick while we talk. But yeah, I agree with you, Abe. It's from that perspective, you know, I'm with you as far as that goes. If the cigar is the same, then you know, I'm gonna be, you know, I'm gonna smoke it. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, me too.
Are you able to see it now?
No, but I can't see it, but I think I just found it, so I'm getting it now.
All right, what else?
I got a poll. If not, I have it.
You got it. All right.
Yeah.
It made sense to think about this. I'm curious now what it looks like.
Yeah, I got it.
You got a poll.
Just give me 1 second. Go ahead. Go on to the next story, Coop, and I'll.
Yeah. So
I just gotta upload it.
What I also mentioned, well, that's La Polina is also. And these are stories that I think aren't anywhere else. The La Polina stories, by the way. At least at this time. So La Polina's also got a 125th anniversary cigar they're doing. They're teaming up with Oliva, and with that is their, you know, so they work with the cigar with Oliva. Okay, you got that?
It is very Kill Bill-esque.
Yeah.
So each size has a different top.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Is each size has a different top, and the bands match along with that.
I don't love it.
I don't think it's going to hurt it.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
I don't hate. I don't love it. I don't love it. I don't hate. I don't love it. The old bands, the Dead El Diario bands are kind of classy, but yeah, I don't know that it's going to hurt it. But personally, I don't love it.
Hey, Paul, can you pull up the 125th anniversary one, La Polina story too? So that one is pretty cool. That one is very cool packaging. This is going to have old style glass jar humidors that these are going to come in, and it's going to have the old style La Polina turn of the century logo. It actually looked pretty cool with that. So, and that's also going to debut at the trade show. These humidor jars. There it is.
Oh wow!
Ooh, I like that. That's cool.
That was really cool. That was really cool. So yeah.
So they're coming in glass jars.
They're going to come in glass jars.
Yeah, that I hate.
This is a limited one. Yeah, I can understand that too. I can totally understand that too.
What's the
That'd
count?
be fun to ship.
What's the count in those as glass jars?
Not just ship. Where do I display it on a shelf?
Yeah, these are 39 count.
Oh yeah, so tough box sale.
Tough box sale and hard display.
Yeah, they're not gonna be cheap on those either. I don't have the pricing on me, but they're not gonna be cheap. But that's gonna come from that they're working with Oliva on that one.
Anything else you got going on, Coop?
I'll mention just two quick things. Matt Boots announced his Room 101 12th anniversary cigar this past week. Nicaraguan Puro coming out of AJ Fernandez, and he announced a new big payback cigar, a Sumatra blend, which is his first Sumatra release. Sumatra is a big theme this year at the trade show. A lot of people going with Sumatra wrapper cigars. So I've already seen a lot of announcements with that. So that's kind of the trendy wrapper you're going to see at the show this year.
I've come to kind of feel that the trendy wrapper becomes the available wrapper.
It totally is. Yeah, it totally.
Right.
That's what this happens in this industry. We think, we think it's a trend. We think everything, but no, there's a shortage on other stuff, and that's the readily available wrapper typically, and that becomes the trendy wrapper.
Yeah, Nick Malillo was telling me this once, and he said it's kind of like the stock market. Where certain rappers are commanding a higher price, and other rappers command a lower price. And when those rappers command a lower price, a lot of people will get it and they'll stock up on it, and then they eventually have to use it. So that's why you kind of tend to see these things go in cycles over the past few years. But I don't remember as much Sumatra as this year. It just seems like there's a much bigger percentage of it.
Well, according to our bow tie expert, there's a massive amount of Sumatra available currently.
Also a Sumatra expert, apparently.
Who's that?
Casey, of course.
Casey Abdelani.
I trust Casey on that one.
Otherwise known as Kevin Casey. I called him Kevin Casey twice.
Yeah. There you go. So
anything else going on, Coop?
No, like I said, there's a lot of other stuff we could go through. You could check out we have the list on the Coop side of the PCA on our big board. There's about 100 releases we've tracked so far going into the trade show.
Wow.
So it's starting to pick up. Yeah.
Oof. You excited about going to Vegas?
I'm very excited about it. So I'm leaving Wednesday.
I'm available for any live interviews, man. Don't worry. I will make time for you.
No, Abe, you seriously, you guys got to come out to the. I know Brandy's gonna come out to the house. We're gonna have the house every night. If you want to, we're gonna have some people over. It's not gonna be wild and crazy, but we have a great time out there, for sure. And
we'll stop by and say hello.
Yeah, definitely.
Coop was telling me it's a luxury. This time it's a luxury cigar media compound.
This is a luxury cigar media compound, and my bank book will prove it. So it's all. So we have a bigger team this year, so we wanted to make sure everyone's comfortable. But I get out there on Wednesday. Now there's this hurricane. You heard about this hurricane, right?
Next week, yeah.
We
know
does this become the PCA jinx this year? This hurricane is my question.
We were just debating this, Alex and I, yesterday, because for our connoisseur club, it's very difficult to get bands to multiple cigar companies in real small quantities. So we actually get them labeled here in Miami before we ship them out, and we're actually nervous because of this hurricane and getting the cigars down there. The place where we do it may be closed a few days. We may have to send out Connoisseur Club cigars without our bands on them again, like how we originally started for 1 month. But yeah, this hurricane is going to be interesting next week.
I mean, we'll see how it plays. I mean, for our listeners,
you don't know. It's still so early.
That aren't in Florida. I mean, down here in Florida, Category 1, even a Category 2 hurricane, nobody really bats an eye.
It's a thunderstorm.
Yeah, it's a thunderstorm.
But does it knock the airports out? Does it cause
Yeah, but
problems?
for
at the end?
hours. It's not like days.
Okay.
That's not the issue.
According to current tracking, it's going to be out by the Atlantic by Wednesday or Thursday. So, we're leaving Friday. We should be clear of.
Yeah, I think you'll be clear for Friday, Saturday. Like, you'll be okay.
Right, but
My biggest fear.
Planning on leaving.
Was that
right?
When are manufacturers planning, or when were they planning?
Yeah, that's
the
going
question.
to be
Now early.
They're just going to bump their flights. That's all.
Yeah. I don't think it'll affect that.
I leave Wednesday, and Carolina is supposed to see some of this, but if I have to adjust my flight, I'll adjust it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm more worried about my new house build because there's no windows or roof. There's just plywood on the top of the house. They haven't put the roof on yet. I was texting our guy today. I was like, "Hey, are they going to do this in the next week?" And no answer, of course.
Of course, yeah.
All right, you gentlemen ready for Tale of the Tape?
Let's do it.
Yeah, ready. Let's do it.
Let's get season 2, Tale of the Tape.
Oh crap! It got moved. I got it.
Start the clock. All right, coming in at, I believe we're at number 7. Sorry, I've been in a tailspin lately. But coming in at number 7 for my pick, top wrestlers of all time, is Coop's previous week's pick, The Rock. So The Rock comes from a wrestling family. His father was a wrestler, has wrestling in his blood. The guy was really a superstar. Great gimmicks, some of the more memorable one-liners. If you smell what The Rock is cooking, it doesn't matter what you think. The people's eyebrow, which Abe is able to execute perfectly. And also, I may be wrong, but to me, one of the first guys that really broke out seriously into the movie world. I could be wrong, but I don't know. Coop, go ahead.
Yeah, no. Actually, Hogan did a little of it, but not to the level of Rock did.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my number 7 is Shawn Michaels. And here's what I got to say about Shawn Michaels. The Iron Man match, the ladder match, the Flair retirement match, the Montreal Screwjob. This guy was in big-time matches, and he performed at the highest level in these big-time matches, winning a lot of these matches. He had several runs as champion, very charismatic around the camera, very high-flying acrobatics. Surprised he never made that jump.
Right, I agree.
So, but incredible career he had. Most of his career was with the WWF, WWE. So, I would definitely put him as my number 7.
Yeah, great pick. I agree, and I feel like Shawn Michaels is one of those guys that either love hate or love to hate.
Yeah,
there it is. Yeah, eyebrow.
In fact, all my kids could do it.
But yeah, Shawn Michaels was a big time guy, man. He really was.
He big man. I mean, and we didn't even mention that whole D-Generation X thing,
right?
Which was like I call it the modern version of the Four Horsemen that he did. So they kind of did the same thing. Yeah.
Who's got that graphic, Alex?
Which one?
That the top list right there. That one right there.
I'm putting it up.
No, somebody text me that graphic. I want to post it on KMA. Let the people chime in and see what they feel about that.
Alex, you have to do it because I can't download it from
that's fine. I can send it to you.
And there you have it.
Cool. I mean, it's all guys I know now, except for that one guy from the 30s that Coop brought up.
No, he was like the 80s. He wasn't. I have a guy who's been further back in time, but he hasn't come up yet.
The 80s is the 30s to Paul DeGracco.
Yeah.
Well, I was born in 83. Coop, by any chance, will Kid McGraw make your list at all?
Absolutely not.
Oh,
it's funny because
I'm going to take. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, me and Coop had this ongoing conversation. Some of these guys, like The Rock, kind of get bumped up where they probably would have been deeper down, but it's the length of their career that kind of lands them where they are on their list. But it's weird. You kind of look at it like I look at it and I was kind of thinking about it. It's almost like boxers too. Now in this day and age, boxers are fighting 50 fights, 60 fights. They don't have to fight 200 fights to make a living, and it's kind of the same thing. These guys realize they don't have to wrestle for 30 years and destroy their body. It's why you see these guys making the jump to the movies and whatnot. So it's interesting to kind of do that. The Rock wasn't a 30-year wrestler, but was a superstar in his own time.
A lot of them early on didn't have the option, and then
Well, same thing with boxers. These guys had to fight to feed their family, right?
And then honestly, a lot of them can't make that transition. I mean, it it wasn't easy for Rock. If you hear him talking about, you know, he was very bad in his first few things, and he actually took it seriously. He went to acting school, got coaches, you know, really tried to refine his skill in the art of acting.
Yeah. And I don't know if anybody could correct, but I mean, I think I'm right in that. I feel like The Rock was the first guy to, you know, Hogan did some movies.
Rock was the first guy to do it successfully
and do it like real and not be wrestling movies and star. I know Andre the Giant did Princess Bride, but again, he was
became a sought-out actor and not a cameo or a faux appearance. You know.
Yeah, exactly. A couple of Hogan's movies were actually used to set up some main events. I remember in the WWF.
Yeah, there was with Zeus. What was
Zeus,
that one?
Yeah. So it was kind of like it wasn't really as serious as when The Rock did it. He went, you know, he started doing movies like The Mummy.
And he was doing real movies.
Yeah, so I think it was a big difference with Jesse Ventura did it, but he left.
What'd you say?
Rock's got a big one coming out this summer called Jungle Cruise. It's the movie. It's like the movie that was inspired by the Disney ride Jungle.
Hey, I saw I saw a great movie last night, man. My kids, I guess my wife saw it, told my kids about it. We all watched it. The Tomorrow War.
Does it take place in Tomorrowland?
No, Tomorrow War is Chris Pratt. It was really good.
I love Chris Pratt.
It was listen, I like Chris Pratt as a person as much as I like him as an actor. He is a down-to-earth, good guy. But it was a really look, any one of those time movies always it's a time continuum movie, but it's about a future war that's going to end the whole human race, and they actually go back in time and they do a draft. It's crazy. It's a Tomorrow War. I think it's on. It could be Netflix or Amazon, one of them, but it's out right now. So if you guys want to watch a good movie, hit up the Tomorrow War. It's pretty cool.
I might watch it tonight. Yeah.
It's actually really good because we commented this on KMA, man. There's like no good movies coming out. Like my kids are dying for Black Widow to come out in another 6 days because there's just been no like real movies in the last 2 years.
They got to watch, if they like kids movies, that new Luca from Pixar came out. My kids are obsessed with it. It's really well done.
Only 2 of my kids are still in that range, and maybe even 1. They're beyond that crap now. Thank God.
Well, Many Saints of Newark, the trailer came out this week. I mean, so I'm like...
when is that going to be released, though, Coop? They delayed it, right?
It's September. So I can tell you I'm going to be watching that the night it's on, so...
Well, thanks for the updates, Coop. We'll definitely look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you. Yep.
Right. In traditional fashion now, we are going to close out KMA Radio with our Cigar Insane Asylum.
Welcome to the Cigar Asylum.
Did you know I'm utterly insane? We all go a little mad sometimes.
Where logic and reason cease to exist.
Okay, everyone. This week's story takes us to Provincetown, Massachusetts. In what many would consider a biblical-sounding encounter, or if you're our producer, Paul, a very Disney-esque style story, a commercial lobster diver escapes relatively unscathed after nearly being swallowed by a humpback whale. Michael Packard, 56, apparently was diving off the coast of Provincetown, about 45 feet down in the water, when he suddenly felt a huge bump, and then everything went dark. He initially feared he was attacked by a shark, but then soon realized there was no teeth and he was in no great pain. Then the realization dawned upon him that he was in a whale's mouth and braced himself for imminent digestion. He was still in his scuba gear and breathing apparatus inside the whale's mouth for about 30 to 40 seconds when the whale suddenly rose to the water surface, began shaking its head from side to side. I just got thrown in the air and landed in the water, Packard recalled. I was free. I just floated there. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I got out of that alive. Packard, who was bruised but suffered no broken bones, was pulled out of the water by his crewmen and rushed back to shore, where he was transported to Cape Cod Hospital. Luckily for Packard, humpback whales mostly filter algae and small fish out of the water. A fully grown human wouldn't even fit down the esophagus. Wow. That's going to be one whale of a story for your grandkids.
You were just waiting.
Regardless, Mr. Packard, That story qualifies you to be this week's inductee in the Cigar Insane Asylum.
Wow.
I was hoping for a Jonah and the Whale reference.
Or a Moby Dick reference.
They said the most dangerous thing that probably could have happened was because they opened their mouths and they just swim and filter the water. And had the whale closed his mouth. I mean, just think about it. Think of the pressure. You could just close your mouth and your tongue goes against the roof of your mouth.
Yeah.
You could have just gotten crushed just from the whale closing its mouth.
Wait, what kind of a whale was it?
Humpback.
Wow, man. Oh my God.
Can you imagine Pinocchio, real life Pinocchio? I thought you'd appreciate that story, Paul.
I liked it a lot. That's crazy. I would shit my pants, but maybe then the whale would spit me out.
Monstro? Was it Monstro?
Monstro is from Pinocchio, yeah.
Coop, thank you once again for your contribution to this week's KMA show with your factual and up-to-date news. Big thanks to Tommy Z for coming on and sharing his story. What a story.
It was awesome to hear it from his side.
Yeah, sorry we didn't get you back on. And gentlemen, I want all our fans and everybody out there, we hope we entertained you for a few hours this Saturday morning. Have a safe and happy 4th of July. We will be off next week as we will be at the trade show in Vegas, but we will catch you back in 2 weeks. Light one up this weekend in memory of everyone who helped make this country free and everyone who helps keep it free. All right? Have a great one. Keep it lit. We'll see you in 2 weeks.